PowerPoint presentation app has come a long way since it was first introduced in the early 90s by Microsoft Corporation. A favorite of many in the corporate world, from CEOs to managers to HR personnel and to senior staff, it can be used to deliver business proposals, highlight a company's growth and performance during a given quarter or year, engage staff and stakeholders in trainings, lead engaging seminars, lectures, presentations, and much more. PowerPoint presentation is also an incredible teaching aid which lets you introduce graphics, ideas, charts, bullets, headings, text, and lessons in a creative, engaging, and professional manner. Today, not only can you sustain your audience attention much longer with animations and transition effects and AI-generated themes of PowerPoint, but you can take advantage of PowerPoint's most advanced tools and features, which are currently unrivaled by Google's Slides. And I dare say, many other presentation apps accompanied with a productivity suite today. In this presentation, I'm going to share with you how I get the best out of Microsoft PowerPoint whenever I present with it or use it to plan engaging presentations, lessons, and tutorials. I'm going to discuss how I use Microsoft PowerPoint and get the best out of it when I use the Home tab, the Insert tab, the Design tab, Transition tab, Animation tab, Slideshow tab, the Record tab, and finally the Review tab. Let's start with the first tab, which is the Home tab. It is the default tab in PowerPoint's presentation, and it's right next to the File tab. Under the Home tab, the tools that I mostly make use of are the following. We've got Slides, we've got Font, we've got Paragraph, we've got Drawing, and above Drawing I make use of the text box here, then Adobe Acrobat, create and share Adobe PDF. Let's start with the Slides. You will notice when I hover on top, you will see the new slides. This lets me add a slide to my presentation. Watch what happens when I click on the drop-down menu. I'm able to select a range of new slides. Next, let's look at the font bar. The font bar lets me customize my text by picking a new font for my text. There are literally hundreds of them. Watch what happens on my screen as I switch between different fonts. Then we have the paragraph bar. Above the paragraph bar are a range of options. It lets me decide the layout of my current paragraph. I could decide if I want it in the center, I want it over here on the right or the left. Using the tools here, I could also decide the spacing of my paragraph. I could decide the indentation of my paragraph by moving to the left or to the right. I'm also able to align text to the left or to the center or to the middle or to the bottom. I'm able to do things such as align text in different angles and directions, and much more. Then we talk about the drawing bar. Above the drawing bar, one feature that I make use a lot is the text box. So you see my agenda right here. The text box lets me design a space for me to type a text. I could also make use of arrows. We've got the arrow pointing down, pointing right, and so on and so forth. Next, we have the Create and Share Adobe PDF. I use this option when I have finalized the presentation. I want to share it via email with someone in PDF format. This is ideal in the technological age we live in, where many people are trying to read things on their phones. So sending a document via PDF to their emails is one suitable way people can read a presentation or view it easily, especially when they do not have Microsoft PowerPoint downloaded on their phone. Then finally, we've got the Designer tool. In the Home tab here, this tool lets me create instant slide makeovers. It's powered by artificial intelligence. I literally created the first slide here by using the Designer tool. Now let's turn our attention to number 2, the Insert tab. It's right next to the Home tab. As the name implies, it lets me insert more features on my PowerPoint presentation slide. There are some redundancies in this tab, as some tools are repeated, for instance, new slides. This Insert tab comes in handy when I must insert pictures. And notice when I click on Picture to drop down, I can insert pictures from my device, flash drive or computer, stock images. If I want to find pictures online that are free, it pulls it up. Microsoft PowerPoint is able to pull that up for me. Then online pictures, I'm able to find from a variety of online sources and insert into my PowerPoint presentation slides. We've got Screenshot, which lets me add a snapshot of any window that is open on my desktop to my document. Then we've got Photo Album, which I don't use. Let's focus on the illustration bar because I tend to use this a lot. We've got Shapes. You can insert flowcharts, callouts, lines, icons. I use this from time to time. Then we've got Smart Art. I'm able to choose cycle, hierarchy, or relationship. I tend to use Smart Art when I'm dealing with information that has to do with graphs. So I want to give my audience a visual representation of certain ideas. This comes in very handy. And then with charts, I could do something even more creative. I could even insert a map, a map of Europe, a map of Africa, a map of the United States. I could insert a continent, a country, a state, or even a city by clicking on the map. All I need to do is to adjust the numerical figures, and that would just be adjusted to what I want it to do for me. If I want to talk about stats between, let's say the murder rate between cities such as Chicago and New York, I'm able to demonstrate that with a chart, as you can see on my screen. I think this is cool. Next, we have the text bar. Above the text bar, you've got the text box, which I have just discussed how I use it. In other words, when I created this heading over here, the text box helps me to create this mini heading that you see here and here as well. Another cool feature to know is the header and footer information. I could insert the date and the time. I could insert the page number, slide number. That's the same as inserting the date, clicking on see what happens. It gives me the same option. Then I want to talk about the media bar. The media bar has 3 icons which I use from time to time. You've got insert video. When I click on the drop down menu, similar to picture, I can insert videos from my device. I could insert from stock videos, or I can insert videos that are present online from a variety of sources that I would have to credit. Stock videos are free. Then I've got audio. I could record audio on my PC. I could record audio on the presentation right now, and put it on the PowerPoint slides. Last, we have screen recording tool. The screen recording tool is awesome. It's what I'm using for this presentation right now. And that leads us to our next tab, which is the design tab. The design tab is right after the draw tab. In this tab, I find useful themes. Above this toolbar, you can see a variety of themes. These are a unique set of colors that I can make my presentation even more engaging if I select them, because they're a range of colors, as you can see. Then you've got the customize bar, which I use to format the background of my PowerPoint presentation slide. Watch what happens when I decide to change the color. So that's what you can do with format background. It helps me maintain consistency with the background color I use on all my slides. Next, we want to look at the transition tab. The transitions tab is something that is very useful. It's right next to the design tab. Above the transition, or below the transition to this slide, you've got so many options right here. Above the transition to this slide, toolbars are several effects that you can see on your screen. I do have my favorites, and I'm going to select my favorite, and you will see what happens. The first on top of my favorite is the curtain transition, and the second favorite I have is the wind transition. Another one that I love to use is airplane. Watch what happens. Boom. Then origami. So these are a few effects, transition effects you can select when you're presenting, when you're transitioning from one slide to another. Let's look at the animations tab. Now you can tell that there are many options on the above the animations toolbar. You've got appear, fade, fly in, float in, split, wipe, and so on. Once again, I do have some favorites which I use. I love to use appear. I love to use fade. I sometimes use fly in or float in depending on the context. Another color that I typically use too is zoom or swivel. There's so many options for me to pick. So watch what happens when I click on the animation panel. This were predetermined because I've specifically selected an animation that I want. I want this to appear. So I selected fly in, and that's why I have this effect when I clicked on play selected. Next, let's look at the slideshow tab. The slideshow tab is right next to the animations tab. Under the slideshow bar is from beginning tool. So when I click on start from the beginning, when I click on this icon over here, it would start my presentation from the beginning of my presentation, not from slide 2. And if I want to do from current slide, it could start my presentation from current slide. It makes logical sense to always start with from beginning because you want your audience to see the beginning of your presentation. Another tool that I want to talk to you about is the rehearse tool. The rehearse tool is useful if you have angst about presenting to a live audience, and if you want to do a dry run of a presentation without the luxury of a paid coach or a friend or some tutor to give you some presentation tips or hack. You need not look any further, because with rehearse with coach tool you are able to get feedback on your presentation. The rehearse with coach tool gives you feedback on your presentation, a summary of the problems or challenges during your presentation, and a suggestion on how to make your presentation and speaking skills even better. Try the rehearse with coach tool and you would have no regret learning about blind spots you have or you did not know you have as a presenter. If you find yourself using a lot of fillers like the rehearse with coach tool will pick that up and tell you what you need to work on. It exposes other blind spots that you may not be aware of. I think it's awesome. I've used it and trust me, it's helped me as a presenter. I also want to suggest another feature that you can use, which is the notes tool over here. So once you click on notes, you're able to add notes as a presenter. So let's say I want to say call out the home tab as my favorite. When I talk about the home tab as my favorite, I may just put it in my notes in my presentation so that I remember when I'm presenting to tell the audience something special that I like about the home tab. And it is my favorite when I present because there's so much I can do with the home tab. But the rest of them are also essential. But the home tab is my favorite. Insert tab is probably my second favorite. So this is a cool feature you can use when you are presenting. Let's say at a topic that you're not very confident about, and you're presenting, and you have a PowerPoint presentation open on your computer, a laptop computer, by a lectern in front of your audience. So once you switch to this slideshow mode, you are able to see your computer screen, and if there is a projector and a projector screen, the audience is not able to see what you can see on your screen on your laptop, and therefore you are able to use the notes as an aid when you present to help you with your talking points in your presentation. Next, you have the record tab. The record tab is right next to the slideshow tab. Remember, another way to record your PowerPoint presentation slide is by clicking on the slideshow tab. So once you click on the slideshow tab, you can record here, but it's best to just start with the record tab. I highly recommend using the record function in events when you have to record a presentation or engage in screen recording. Another thing to know about the record tab is the function of cameo. You can insert a video camera feed of yourself directly into slide 1 or maybe in all slides. We also have the option to export video. When you click on record to video, you're able to do something what is called screen recording. What I'm doing, this option is not available right now because I'm using my screen recording tool. So once you select export to video, you are able to convert your presentation video into an MP4 and you save somewhere either on your desktop or on your flash drive. last tab I want to review is called the Review tab. Right next to the Record tab, I use this for proofing. That is, if I want to look for typos, spelling errors, it doesn't hurt to click on this, go up above the proofing tab and select spelling. Or let's say I'm looking for words to use, I'm lost for words, I use the Thesaurus dictionary over here. And last but not the least, I also use the Comment tab if I want to make comments on the presentation and I want to pass it across to others. I'm able to do so by clicking on the Comment tab and see what happens when I click on the new comment. And that concludes my presentation regarding how I get the best out of Microsoft PowerPoint. Thank you for watching.